Well, good morning, everyone. It is good to be with you in your home again on this Sunday morning. I want to welcome Ainsley and Keaton and Cambry and Peyton, Harper and Gentry, Sophia and Bodie. I'm glad that you could be with me again this morning so I can read a new book to you today. And this book is called The Tale of Three Trees, and it is retold by author Angela Elwell Hunt. So let's dig into our new book this morning. Three Trees. Once upon a time, on a mountaintop, three trees dreamed of what they wanted to become when they grew up. I want to hold treasure, the first tree said. I will be the most beautiful treasure chest in the whole world. I want to be a strong sailing ship, the second tree said. I will be the strongest ship in the world. I don't want to leave this mountaintop at all, the third tree said. I want to grow so tall that when people look at me, they will raise their eyes to heaven and think of God. I will be the tallest tree in the world. Well, one day, three woodcutters climbed the mountain, and with a swoop of the first man's axe, the first tree fell. Kaboom! With a swish of the second man's axe, the second tree fell. With a slash of the third man's axe, the third tree fell. The first tree rejoiced when the woodcutter brought him to a carpenter's shop. But the busy carpenter was not thinking about treasure chests. Instead, his work-worn hands fashioned the tree into a feed box for animals. Now the second tree smiled when the woodcutter took him to a shipyard. But no mighty shipping sails were built that day. Instead, the once strong tree was made into a simple fishing boat. The third tree was confused when the woodcutter cut her into strong beams and left her in a lumber yard. What happened? The once tall tree wondered. All I ever wanted to do was point to God. Many, many days and nights passed. The three trees nearly forgot their dreams. But one night, golden starlight poured out over the first tree as a young woman placed her newborn baby in the feed box. And suddenly, the first tree knew he was holding the greatest treasure on earth. One evening, a tired traveler and his friends crowded into the old fishing boat. When a storm arose, the second tree shuddered. But when the traveler stretched out his hand and said, "Peace," the storm stopped. And suddenly, the second tree knew he was carrying the King of heaven and earth. Well, now, come on. There we go. One Friday morning, the third tree was startled when her beams were yanked from the woodpile. She shivered when she was dragged through an angry crowd, and she shuddered when soldiers nailed a man's hands to her feet. She felt ugly and harsh and cruel. But on Sunday morning, when the sun rose and the earth trembled with joy beneath her, the third tree knew God's love had changed everything. It had made the first tree beautiful. It had made the second tree strong. And every time people thought of the third tree, they would think of God. And that was better than being the tallest tree in the world. And that ends our book this morning of The Tale of Three Trees. And I bet, boys and girls, that you guys have had dreams too, what you might want to be when you grow up. When I was a little girl, I thought I was going to be a baker, and I thought I would be a poet, and I thought I would raise puppies. Well, none of those things happened. But the things that I did become, I was a person who worked in the sheriff's department. I became a nutritionist so I could help mommies and their children learn how to eat good so they could stay healthy. I managed a McDonald's. And yes, eventually then, I was finally called into my role now as being your pastor. And each thing that I did was just important as these trees. We don't always know why we're doing what God has laid out before us, but there's always a reason, and we may not see it. It may happen when we're not even looking. So dream your dreams of what you want to be and what you think you want to be. And I tell you to embrace your dreams, because you just never know what God will make out of your dreams. All right, boys and girls, it's time for me to go, and I look forward to seeing you again next week. Bye-bye.